you go ahead and just warm things up a little bit. Do you want to
Okay.
tell me about yourself?
Okay. So my name is Susan Luton. I'm a
Yeah.
JAG specialist here at Northwest High School. I'm in my sixth year in JAG, 17th year in education. And my passion has always been education since I was a child. So I'm living my passion. I don't feel like I come to work every day because I love what I do.
Now, why do you love what you do?
I think it's interacting with the children, the kids, all ages, specifically with high school, because with this program with JAG, I feel that I can make a greater impact on our community in St. Leger Parish. We help them with their personal skills, but also their career skills. So we're helping them with skills that they'll use for the rest of their life, preparing them. I wish I had this class in high school.
Tell me about that because I mean, everybody speaks so highly of JAG. Tell me about why you wish you had this class back in high school.
It gives you support with not
Yeah.
only education, but, there's a mentoring aspect to it, and also career skills, marketable career skills, life skills, opening a checking account, making a
Right.
resume, just basic things that young high school students need today, exploring various careers and going out into the community, not just within our community, but within our state. For me, and I knew what I wanted, but I see my students struggling to find where they want to be, where is their place in life. And I feel like this course really helps them point them in that direction. And with this, it helps in education, employment, and it helps just in life in general. Makes I feel like it makes a stronger student when they leave high school.
And I'm curious, how does Skillsline fit into what you do today?
When we first heard about Skillsline, when we introduced to it last July, I was excited. I loved the way it was presented. I like the idea of the skills line with our changing world, introducing the a little extra of the soft skills to have in our classroom. And I love that it aligned with our JAG competencies, the lessons, the skills that we teach. So it was a perfect way also to help us open up some conversations through our skills line program. And I was scared to get started, of course, we were all nervous, but, once it was implemented, like anything new, it's hard to get started, but once it was implemented, the students loved it, and we use it once or twice a week.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how you do implement Skillsline and what your strategy is?
Sure. When we first started, our students were able to log in on their own account, and we have a routine. I set up procedures in the classroom. They would come in, we'd use it as a bell ringer, introduce the actual skills line lesson for that day, the topic, and the students would go to it, and then we would have open discussions, and I love how it relates to them personally, but also on a career level, and then there came a point where we couldn't use it as a one-on-one with our Chromebooks, so I just use it as a whole group discussion. We have a smart board in our classroom, and the students come in, and usually on a Monday or a Tuesday, and again on a Thursday and Friday, we'll use it, and I'll bring up a topic, and we'll do it together. I get each child ask the question prompt, and then together we'll decide on the best answer. And then we always relate it to a career afterwards. How can we use this in life and on the job?
How
Yes.
do you deal with the new, the unknown, and how do you pass that on to your students?
As I think of myself as an older educator. I'm not,
Mhm.
but I'm middle in the middle, but I just jump in. You have to just jump in and go for it. And I relate that to my students. I'll let them know, hey guys, this is new. I'm nervous too. Old things new or get you a little nervous and they're challenging. But I said it's a teaching, you're teaching them to push forward, but you just have to do it. And I encourage my other JAX specialists as well that struggle with starting off in skills line. You just have to jump in and try it, and it all works out. And like I said, the kids like it and they'll ask for it. They'll say, "Hey, Miss Bouchard, it's Tuesday. We didn't do skills line yesterday." So I love that. They love the connection. They like to talk. They like to get into their feelings. So it has been a positive impact on our program here.
What skills do you feel are the most important for your students to be happy, successful in their career, in their everyday lives in the future?
Sure. With JAG, we teach and career skills. And we start off the year with our personal skills, getting to know ourselves. We have to be self aware and we have to help them to understand themselves and where they are at their age 14, 15, 16, 17. And um, the JAG program teaches the basic skills, communication, the reading, the math, the soft skills. And without this basis, students are going to struggle. And we see that they'll struggle on the job. I like to prepare them. Like I said, we start off getting to know themselves. We take personality tests. We take how to become better leaders, how to work with a team, to work with people. But the main thing is communication and problem solving, decision
Mhm.
making. That's basically how we get started here. I hope I answered your
Yeah,
question.
no, that's great. And honestly, I think what people are really interested too, and what you're doing a great job is they're just interested in hearing from educators, almost like oral histories of this moment in time. I think we're at a
Yeah.
interesting moment in time. So I just, you're doing great.
We do a lesson like that. We tell our story at the beginning of the school year. Once we go through, that's the end of our first 9-week project. That's what we do. What is my dream? Who am I? And the kids have to really dig deep within themselves. So they have to present it and they have to present their presentation to their classmates. And we get to know each other, and the kids realize, hey, we're more alike than different. And again, it goes back to the workforce, but you have to help them explore and find out who they are so that they can move forward. And then that's when we move forward with um, our job attainment skills,
Uh-huh.
interviewing resumes, how to interview, how to communicate. It all goes back to that communication. And that's I loved one of the lessons through skills line is empathy and sympathy and showing accountability and being there. And I could see it in their minds. They were thinking about it. So
Can you tell us about a story when one of your students or some of your students, do you hear them using these skills in their everyday lives?
I think now I do towards the now that we're
Yeah.
wrapping up this school year. Now I do. I think they're more patient with each other. I feel that they work better with each other in the classroom now that we have introduced these terms to be self-aware. Like I said, empathy, having sympathy. I think it helps them realize that what that other person might be going through. Maybe someone comes in and you can tell they're having a rough day and we'll stop and we'll talk about it. And we're like a little family, and I tell them that every day. You come first. This work that we have to do can wait, but your mental state is more important to us. And that's what our little JAG family, our JAG classroom. And they'll come in and we'll talk about it. We'll work through it.
Mhm.
And maybe the kids that aren't on that maturity level, they don't understand quite yet. But I think seeing the older ones communicate um, in that way, I think it'll help them to grow in that way.
And what about yourself? What do you learn from Skills Line?
I love it. I love it helped me to think a little bit differently. It helped me in the way I teach and present things in a different way. I have to have 65 kids, and every hour I have a new group coming in, and it helps me be more aware. So before just jumping into my lesson, I want to know how you're doing. Let's talk. Let's see what's going on in your world. And it helps me better prepare for my lessons to teach them these skills that they need to be highly effective young adults.
How do you feel Skills Line supports project-based learning
Oh, yes, definitely. One of our big lessons that I love to teach every year is project-based learning, is skills to succeed. And we start out with our employment test and filling out a job application. This project, in the end, it results in them creating a resume, and they have to use these skills to actually have a job interview. And we pull in people from the community, and that's our final project, is this resume with their references and communicating with an employer within our community, and then hearing the feedback of how great they did on the interview, or maybe some things that they need to work on. But I think it's taught them how all of this affects our life, to have this, our values, our goals, valuation. But this project, it was over a 9-week period.
Mhm.
Even our financial literacy project, where we learned about budgeting, and every household has a different income, financial situation, and we were able to talk about that. And our final project was planning a dream vacation. And they realized that it's hard being adult. And I think it helped them realize, putting themselves in their parents' shoes, having to have
Yeah.
raise their children and pay bills and provide them. I think it made them more aware of, and be more grateful for what their parents and families do for them. So I do, like I said, I do pull in the skills line according to those project-based learning that we do in the classroom, project-based
Yeah,
learning.
could you play it back for me? How does Skillsline fit into financial literacy? Because that was a really interesting point you made there.
Yeah, we all have our own budget. We all come from financial backgrounds, I should say. And so we start out with what is a bank, and we talk about our values and goals, our dreams, like what kind of life do you see yourself having? Okay, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get to that life? So I'll pull from the skills line, the alignment with the JAG competencies, and I'll pull those lessons, whether it's get results or connect or look within, whatever it may be, and I'll relate it to that financial lesson for the day. Well, like we'll go grocery shopping. When we went grocery shopping, we planned a budget um, for grocery shopping. Like I said, our dream vacation, opening a checking account, being able to save for a future, making them realize the money that it needs and
Yep.
it takes.
Yeah. Just thinking about your students, can you tell us a little bit about your students?
Sure. So I have 9th through 12th grade. We're in a rural community here in South Louisiana, and we have a beautiful school, a wonderful school, strong administration, awesome teachers. My principal and I, we always say that we're the best kept secret in our area because of what we do for our students. I will have a all ages, all economic backgrounds, GPAs from 4.0 to a point 0.6. And what I love about JAG is the beginning of the year, I get to meet with them one on one and get to know their story, what they're about. And we take mental notes, and we will help work and develop those students. We help work on excessive absences and just get them the skills and the confidence they need. And by the end of the year, I love to see how they've grown.
Do you
And
see it? Do you see it,
oh,
Susan?
yeah, I love it. And I have them write letters to their teachers saying thank you, whether it's a good or a bad letter. And I'll keep those letters. We do that around Thanksgiving. I'll keep those letters. And on those days when it's hard and you see some of your students struggling because of the challenges they're going through in their personal life, I'll go back to those letters, and it makes you want to fight for them even harder.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are
Yeah,
so
we have
fueled
great
by
kids.
goodness there.
Yeah, we have great kids here. We have some that are struggling, but the majority, they're awesome and they wanna do great things. They wanna be a part of JAG. You wanna get that
Mhm.
once they learn what we're about and what we do in this class, they wanna be a part of it. They wanna feel the love and be a part of that JAG family.
I was curious, for you, what makes a great teacher?
Having a lot of heart, having compassion, wanting to be here with your students. I see teachers go through a little burnout. They pour so much of themselves into their students and into their work, preparing for their lessons. And you have to have a good work-life balance. But for me, someone asked me not long ago, and she said, "What makes you happy, Miss Muto?" And I said, "Coming here every day and making a difference in the lives of these kids. That's my joy. This is what I've always wanted to do. I always knew it. I did shy away from it for a few years, but I came back to it. And I just want to make my community a better place. And I feel that I can do that by working with these young kids and giving them that confidence that they need. And I love when they come back. We keep in touch. They'll call me, they'll pop into my classroom. They'll say, I'm getting married, come to my wedding, forming those relationships. We're a part of each other's lives after that. You remember how they made you feel, and you want to feel loved and happy that you're there. That's why I greet my students every day at the door with a handshake or a hug or whatever they need, and because I'm happy that they're here and a part of my class.
Did Skillsline cause you at all to think about the ways that you do things in the classroom or do anything
Definitely.
differently?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think when I taught the empathy and the sympathy part, I always had that, but I think it took it to a deeper level. Listening, teaching the kids to listen more carefully to each other, reading between the lines. So we're still working on our lessons in Skill Line. I think we're on pack 2, the Connect pack, but getting our message across, engaging in teamwork, and even using it with talking with it, those skills that I learned with other teachers, communicating with other teachers within the school.
In what ways do you see Skillsline changing education or helping educators change?
Because it's soft skills, I think it makes it more personal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes it where you're not just, say, a math teacher or a science teacher, they could use it to where they stop and they see this child. And it's not just, okay, I have to get this lesson across. Okay, what's going on with this child? How can I make this lesson better so that this child, this young adult, can better understand this lesson? So I think educators could benefit from it and make you a better teacher or person because of the skills, the human skills that it teaches, and make it realize that we're setting examples for these young adults.
Can you tell us how you got started with Skillsline in the classroom?
I did it by myself. I wanted to go through a program, one of the modules by myself, and just get a feel for it. And then once I did, I love that you have the definitions, the vocabulary with the key concepts. So I introduced it and brought up some discussion questions first. We went over the words first, and I had them have it in their hand. And then I actually pulled it up on the board and we did a lesson together. And then we started doing it. The students did it individually on their Chromebook. I signed it and they would come in and grab a Chromebook and they knew what to do. And it took them about 10-15 minutes. And we'd have a quick discussion and then we would go on with our lesson for the day. Or maybe we wouldn't. They had more questions they wanted to talk about what they just learned through Skillsline. So that's what we did that day. That's the beauty of JAG. You can adjust your lessons accordingly. And then we turned to whole group discussion. And I found that the kids were more engaged. I would allow them to each ask a question, and then the class together would read the choices, and then together we would discuss it. And if we did get a wrong answer, we'd say, okay, why? Why, what makes us think that way? What was the best choice? And we would review it. And I like that they get excited and they're engaged. And like I said, we take turns. Each student reads a question, and together we choose an answer, and together we discuss it.
How are students reacting to Skillsline in the classroom?
They'll ask, today is Skills Lines Day. So we start off on a Monday, and they like coming up. They like teaching. They like taking control. I try to have a student led classroom. And so they'll take turns, they'll come up. Today's lesson, we're talking about getting our message across. So it goes back to being a good listener. Are you a good listening? Are you just listening to respond? So we'll go over that.
What do you think is the most important thing students can take from your class to be more successful in the future?
The life skills that we teach, job attainment, and then now that we brought in the skills line, it gives them a stronger soft skills, better communication skills. They feel more comfortable opening up, talking, um, workplace leadership, more so self-development. I love seeing the maturity grow within my students. It's so different from the beginning of the year till now.
What is your hope for your students?
I just want them to lead happy, successful lives. I want them to be able to support themselves financially. When they leave here, I know that I have done everything I can to prepare them for life after high school, especially my seniors. In JAG, we have a follow-up program. So once they leave, we still follow up with them. But I love when they'll call and say, "Oh, Miss Muto, I'm so happy you taught us that. I'm using it today." I have success stories. I have a young girl that she started out in here very quiet to herself, and we talk about her, what was her dreams. And she said, I wanted to own my own restaurant and food truck. And she did it. She has completed her program and she has her own food truck and business. And on Facebook this weekend, she tagged me in it. And I said, remember those days that we talk about all this? So for me, that's success, seeing my students move on, graduate and have a successful life because of what they learned in this program.
If you were if you were to talk to your fellow educator about Skillsline, what would be the things that you would point out are the most powerful about it?
I personally like how it's related to a career because our students don't think about that. When they're in high school, I always tell them at the beginning of the year, let's put aside our childish ways and let's focus on developing you as a young adult so you can move on and be successful in your community and in your life. And I tell the educators about Skillsline. I would tell them, and I do tell them, and I encourage them that it applies not just for a self-advocacy, but as a career application. And
Mhm.
when I go out and meet with my employers and I'll ask, what is the biggest problem? What is lacking in our young students that you want to hire today? And of course, it's communication skills. And I feel like this skills line opens up that communication because we do it as a whole group. I know it's meant to do as a one-on-one on their Chromebook, but when you do it as a whole group, it opens up and hopefully it reaches some of the younger, like the seniors, they might say something that makes a connection with a freshman. But I encourage them to jump in and I've helped them to get started.
Is there anything we should have asked you, Susan, before we finish up here?
No, I think Skillsound is great, and I encourage all my fellow JAG specialists here in Louisiana. I really encourage them to jump in and try it, push forward, and if they're not sure, please reach out. I'll be happy to help. It's easy to use, and I've seen it. My kids like it. It does make a difference, not just in their self, but in preparing for the future.
Has it been working with Skillsline and the team?
And y'all have been great supports for us. Y'all are there for if it's not an email, it's a text or a phone call. And I've enjoyed building that relationship with the Skills Line team. So y'all are great. Especially you, Chris.
Thanks, Susan. You're great too.
You the
I
man.
mean,
This
great.
aligns just
Oh.
so perfectly with what we do. And I love how you have the skills alignment all set out for us. It aligns with what we're doing. It's perfect. It helps make it easier for us. And by that, it makes a greater impact on our students. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.